Hello, everybody. I would just like to talk about the book I read, Three Comrades, which was very, very good, emotional. You cared for the characters. I literally cried for like 3 days. Oh, and this will be a spoiler review, so if you haven't read the book, don't look at the video if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay, so it's about three comrades, obviously, three guys that fought in World War One, and it's like at the rise of like the Nazis and like 1938, 39, and well, they meet this pretty woman named Patricia. I think she's a little younger than they are, and they all call her Pat. And one of the comrades, his name is Robbie or Robert, falls in love with her. Just and it's like a courtship. It takes a while. It it builds up over 3 or 4 dates, and then finally they hook up. In a very beautiful kind of way. It's very well written. It's not trashy or anything. It's a book from the a classic literature from the 19 I want to say 30s or 40s. I think it was written maybe the 40s during the war. The writer was German and against the war and moved to Switzerland, and so the Nazis and deemed it anti-war propaganda and banned the books, all of his books. He also wrote All Quiet on the Western Front, which didn't show the pretty side of war. It showed how grueling and tough it was. So, they have this courtship, they fall in love, and by like mid-book, they're like in love with each other. I mean, they're smitten with each other, and they end up going to the beach together on a trip and staying at this little cottage and whatnot. Well, she's not feeling good one day, and some kind of aneurysm or something. Now, I didn't know this till I read it online afterwards, but she had tuberculosis, which even today could be deadly. Is usually it's like you got like a 60% chance of surviving it. So she never told him that. She told him a little bit about how when she was a kid during World War One, she was um, bedridden for like a year, but that's when she got tuberculosis, which is a condition you have it like the rest of your life. Even today, it's very deadly. It's like the number two killer behind COVID. And I'm gonna pause this for right now because my parents are home. So I'll pick this up in a bit. So yeah, she gets tuberculosis at the beach, and they have to like rush to get her doctor, um, who is like 3 hours away. But the little thing that I didn't mention in the book is that the comrades, the guys, all work in a mechanic shop. They work on cars, and they race cars, and they have all these cool Cadillacs, and they have this really cool Cadillac that goes super fast, and they know how to drive really fast because they drive race cars, and they also do a taxi service. Like they drive taxis through this garage, and so I forget what friend it is. I don't remember all their names. Maybe Godfried, or was it, I forget who it was. But one of the friends drives up with the doctor, and they're like, he's never gonna. The doctor that was there said he's never gonna get here in time, but he did because he got there ahead of time, and like before 2 hours flat because he was, you know, he was a legend with the car and going in with the racing, and so he made it there, and the doctor examined her and told him she has tuberculosis, and He was optimistic that she could survive it. But he told him, "You got to come visit me, and when you get back to the town in Germany where they're from, and I'm going to discuss things with you about her." So they went back, and she got better. She seemed fine to a point. She was very tired a lot, and he persuaded her to move in with him. They never got married, and she moved in with him. They had separate rooms, I guess. I don't know if it was because of the times, and you weren't married, so you couldn't live together. It would have looked bad. I don't know if that's why it was, but they were truly a couple. They were in love, and they hinted at the fact that several times before this that they had hooked up, and made love and whatnot, and they were a couple, but for all intents and purposes, had separate rooms, had privacy, um, and he took care of her basically, and they did stuff. They went out to drinking and partying and doing things that you do. Sometimes they would give her less to drink because they knew she was sick. There was this really great place. The name escapes me, but he was a chef that ran a restaurant, a bar, and his specialty was pork chops. And um, he always loved her and took care of her and made sure she had things to eat, and fed her crab meat, and got her drinks, and gave her the best cut pork chops and everything. So they went there the last night before she had to go to, because the doctor talked to her. He's like, she has to go to the hospital in a few months in in Switzerland, up in the Alps, and they called it a I forget what they called it. They called hospital something different back then. The same name that they later dubbed what mental institutions were, but um, I forget what they called them. The name is escaping me. Let's not like get hooked up on that. But so he just spent as much time with her, quality time with her as possible for her to take her. Finally took her. He took her to on a train to the hospital, and with her dog. She had a little terrier that he had gotten her. His friend made a deal, a Doberman for the dog, the terrier, and he they took the dog with them, and she stayed with her at the hospital, and um, he stayed there in a room for I think a week or 2 weeks, and then finally he had to go back because he had to make money to keep her in the hospital because they were going to run out of money, and they would kick her out of the hospital. So he went back and worked his ass off, and he was angry about stuff, and I think he got into some fights with some people, and all this different stuff happened with the comrades. Eventually, the main guy that owned the shop had to sell it for money for her in the hospital, and he went well. That getting ahead here, he went back because she was sick and cold and had an operation and something. Got you to come. So him and his best friend came. One of the friends got killed in an uprising as a start of like the Nazi uprising, and he got shot. And they actually got one of the guy that owned the restaurant. He got revenge and shot him. It wasn't like a Nazi that did it. He shot the Nazi that did it, and I meant he shot him, the Nazi that did it. Sorry if that sounded weird. And after that, they get the call, and you need to come up to the hospital, and she's basically dying at this point, and you know it. And I'm like crying at this point, and I was crying to the point when she got sick originally at the beach, when they went to the beach. It's like she went in the water, she felt fine, got out, and ever since it was like all to hell with her health. So I was crying from that point on at a lot of points in the book, and then like when finally they had to bring her, I was like crying, and then when they were at the hospital and he was spending her last days just doing things she likes to do, go to a dance hall, taking her to the pub to get some drinks and stuff. Um, just moving it, making a deal to move it into the room next door. Her dying days when he was holding her hand and they put their beds together, and the book just ends with, and then Pat was no more. That's how it ends. And oh my god, I was losing it. I was crying. It was really, really sad. And I literally cried for like 3 days straight. It was emotional. It was tough to deal with. And it's like, I don't understand why people have to die. I was never okay with death. I'm scared of death because of the unknown. Where do you go when you die? I like to think that I'm a Buddhist who doesn't know exactly what he believes in, so I'm an agnostic. And I don't know if I believe in God or not. I find it hard to believe that there's a heaven and a hell where everybody goes. I believe in reincarnation, but it's still scary, that unknown feeling. And you go alone to the afterlife, just like you come into the world alone. So that's kind of scary. And then you don't exactly know where am I going to end up? Where am I going to go? You know, I think if I came back to another life, if reincarnation is true, I would basically opt to come back as a woman if I got a choice. Maybe, but I'm not sure. It just seems like something that would be cool for me to do. Something that I would like to do. And I don't want to bring up why. I'll just bring up a little bit. Sometimes I feel like I'm born the wrong gender. I just feel that way. And but anyway, back to the book. It was so emotional. I cried for like 3 days because of just the unfairness of her dying, and I guess the realization was, and my parents kind of told me, and my um people told me that I talked to online. They're like, but that's part of life, man. Everyone dies. Everyone dies sometimes, some sooner than others. You know, my sister has cancer right now, and hopefully she pulls through, and I think she will. But you just don't know. You know, I could die of some sickness, cancer, or whatever, in the next couple of years, the next few years. You know, I don't know. I, I could have a brain aneurysm and go into a coma and be brain dead, and my parents aren't going to keep me brain dead forever. They don't believe in that, and neither do I. Um, so just that made me just cry about the book, just the unfairness of her dying. And I love the characters. Oh my god, she's so likable. I fell in love with her. Never mind did the character in the book fall in love with her. I fell in love with her. And I liked all the characters, and I felt for the character Robert, losing her. Uh, oh, it's just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And let me just say right now, I saw the 1950s movie. I think it was 1950s. It's horrible. It's not good. It doesn't follow the book at all. And they make stuff up. It's really bad. I would not recommend the movie. If you're going to read the book and then you see that there's a movie that was made in the 1950s, don't. Don't see it. It's horrible. It's not worth it. It's going to like piss you off. Piss me off. And my mom didn't understand because she didn't read the book, but it really pissed me off. And my mom's into all those old movies, so she actually liked the movie. And I said, but Mom, it's nothing like the book. It really pissed me off. I would like to see maybe Steven Spielberg tackle a movie like this. The I've brought up The Age of Adeline, which is a really good love story. I think that director would do really good justice to it. Probably, I think if you're gonna do it, you gotta make it an epic. It's gotta be more than it's gotta be like close to 3 hours or more. You know, it's gotta be either close to 3 hours or more, and I think they could do it justice. You can't cut things out or make things up, or you got to do it mostly the way it was done in the book. And I think Spielberg, he's done things like this before. He's done movies like this before. He's done things like this before. I think he would be perfect for it. So, anyway, that's my ramble for the day. I've gone, I think, a little too long here. Um, if it sounded at all confusing, I'm sorry. I was trying to piece it together the best I could. So I'm sorry if it sounded all confusing, but just know it's a book about love and friendship, and it has a really sad middle to ending. So, but you really care for the characters. You relate to them. There's a lot of anecdotal stuff about life in it that I just went, wow, that's true, you know. And you just really care for the characters. Like I said, I fell in love with Pat, with Patricia. I fell in love with her. I really felt like I really liked everybody. Everybody was really likable. Really good book, and I highly recommend it. Everybody have a great day. May the force be with you.